All right. Hello, everyone. Again, I think we are live. You can confirm that in the chat so that I know for sure. Welcome everyone to another stream. I know that I said that I will be streaming Title Tuesday and yesterday, but the first one I wasn't in time because of my classical game, and I was too tired to stream the second one. Also wanted to focus on the final round. And yeah, we managed to win the Croatian Championship, or I managed to win the Croatian Championship for the first time in my career. So quite happy about that. It was a very interesting event, even though the two strongest Croatian players were missing. That's true. So it wasn't as strong as always, but it was still quite strong. Um, and yeah, so as I said, today today we're going to have the game analysis, where hopefully you'll be able to see what my thinking process was like and maybe learn something and see how we had many exciting games. And thank you very much to Andestar for congratulating me, also to show me the speed, and to Tsunayoshi Sawada 10th. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but thank you also very much. Hvala i Dan the Man Crow. Da, prva u nizu da ih bude još, čestitke, hvala, pokušat ćemo svakako, ali prvenstvo Hrvatske jednom godišnje. Alright, so, the first round I played against international master Sven Tica. Where's the flipboard? On chess.com. I'm a bit confused, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's here. And he's a very positional player. He's a very positional player, extremely good strategical understanding, very dangerous player. But yeah, I've known him very well. I've known him for years. He's also my teammate in the German Bundesliga. So yeah, starts with d4, knight f6, knight f3. A small surprise considering he's almost exclusively a Catalan player with c4 and g3. So now I decided to play b6, simply to make to force him into some waters which he's not too familiar with. Even though I've been playing the King's Indian a lot, I can play everything. And against him, I decided to go for b6. And after this, I decided to go for the double fianchetto with g6. You might remember that the world champion, actually not the world champion anymore, but Magnus Carlsen used this to beat Arjun Erigaishi in the classical game in Tata Steel. Hvala Akatosh 994. So after short castles, that game continued with Erigaishi playing d5, which is probably objectively best. But Sven goes for the move knight c3. And now, considering that I have less space, as this is my strategy, when you have less space, usually it's useful to exchange at least one or two pairs of pieces, because if you have the more pieces you have, the more cramped they are. So that's why I played the move 94, trying to get rid of one pair of knights so that the other knight has more space. And so simply with these two knights, for example, if I had I allowed queen c2 and d4, it would be way harder with two knights than with one. So 94 takes, bishop e4, bishop e3. This move may look a bit strange because it puts the bishop in front of the pawn, but anyway, this pawn, you cannot really push it to e4. And my opponent wants to play queen d2 and bishop h6, maybe eliminate this bishop and just slowly play for some long grinding endgame with more space, as this is his style anyway. I played the move e6. Now, it was possible to play a move like, I don't know, d5, for example, but I remember that I was unsure for several reasons. First of all, there was queen a4, there was also rook c1, which I wasn't 100% sure of, because after takes, I wanted to play some knight c6 and queen d5. Queen d5 immediately was not possible due to taking on c7. And yeah, now he plays some move, I don't know, queen d2. And I thought that when he doubles the rooks, even though I have a nice blockade here in the center, the c7 pawn will be weak. And I just didn't really like that. So I played the move e6, just solidify everything, play e6, d6, so that after d5 I can go e5 and close the center. Because if this ever happens, then the King's Indian structure is better for me, because the bishop on g2 hits the wall of pawns. So he goes queen d2, very logical, continuing his plan. I go d6, bishop h6, knight d7, bishop g7, king g7. And now we have a very dry position. It seems to be very peaceful, strategical. My opponent plays queen c3. Now he might intend to go for tactics like, for example, if I play some, I don't know, a5, then d5 check could be a problem, because I cannot go e5 because he can take with the knights, and this loses on the spot. And if I take here, then he will collect the bishop and he's a pawn up. So maybe he wants to play, of course, after a5, d5, I can go queen f6, but then maybe he can go knight d4 and bring, after trade, the knight could come to c6. It could become a bit unpleasant. And yeah. So that's why I decided to play the move queen to f6 myself, and to stop d5. And this bishop cannot really be chased away, so he cannot really push e4, e5, and seize more space. Now my opponent plays rook a d1, very logical. I play rook f to d8. Again, maybe preparing some e5 so that after takes my rook is immediately here. Maybe a5 I want to play. d5 just makes simple improving moves. And now my opponent, unfortunately for me, I mean, he should play a move like knight d2, I'm pretty sure, and I would have to take, probably I would play e5, or maybe I would go for c5, but maybe e5, and then after takes we have a very equal position. And if he goes d5, then I would get in a5, knight c5, queen e7, f5, and it would be double-edged. But my opponent here decides to try to liquidate as many pieces as possible, to play knight e5. His idea is after takes to take on d7, rook d7, king g2, and then maybe go here, and it's a very easy position. He thought it's going to be a quick draw. Unfortunately for him, he forgot about a tactic which I had, and I had it in mind. d5, bishop e4, ed4, and he saw all of this, and he told me after the game that after rook to d4, he thought that he's winning, because my rook is hanging and he's just gonna double. But unfortunately for him, there is the move knight c5, and actually he's the one who is losing, because if takes here, then I take d4. Now the bishop is hanging, so I have to trade the queens, and the rook penetrates to the d file, and all of this will fall. Yeah, and so he takes with the queen. I take queen d4, rook d4. I would play knight to c5, rook f d1 probably, rook d4, and now I have a very pleasant choice between e5, bishop a8, ed4. So let's put it on the board. And then we have this beautiful knight against a weak bishop, or maybe even better to take, go rook d8 and rook d2 and play a much better rook endgame. So yeah, my opponent decided that both of these options are quite bad, and they are, and he went for the move queen to a3. His point being, Dobro večer, Bustiesta. Pozdrav. So yeah, queen a3. His point is my rook is hanging, I have to move the rook. And now he'll play bishop to b7. He could have taken the pawn immediately, but he decided to do this so that next time when he retreats the bishop, this is hanging. And now I decided to play queen e5. It was possible also to play with e5 or several plans, but queen e5 I like the most. It hits c2. My opponent plays bishop. Also, there could be an idea of going queen a5 after trade here, knight e5. The b2 pawn would fall. Also very uncomfortable. So my opponent goes here. I go knight f6, rook d2, and now I played queen c5, queen a4. Probably the only move because both of these pieces are hanging. Queen a4, rook d6, chasing this bishop away. He has to go back. And now I played the move queen to g5. Why? I would like this pawn to be more supported with c5, and I can't. I can do it now by playing queen to f5. Now, an interesting point was to play f4, queen to f5, and then maybe some move like, I don't know, rook f to d1 or something, to try to put some pressure on this. But I think that after rook b to d8 and c5, this is a weakness, and my knight is going to have some nice squares. So my opponent understandably decides to attack the pawn immediately, and I push c5. And you can see now that I lack this pawn, but he lacks this central pawn, and of course I have a big advantage here because of more space. He goes b4, trying to create counterplay. Queen f5. The point of the move. The point. Actually, there are several points. Maybe knight e4, knight g4 could be problems potentially. And also the queen on g5. I don't really want it to be exposed under some f4. And also e5, e4 is going to be supported with the queen here. My opponent goes queen to b5. Now I played rook to c8. Seems like a very logical move because after bc5 I want to take with the rook. And also I didn't want to allow bc5, queen c5 and the queen trade. My opponent, he could have gone a4, then I would have taken, and maybe put the rook on c5 or something similar. But he decides to take, and go queen b7. Which, after the game, he told me that he just forgot that I have this strong move e5 because it protects the rook and it threatens e4. And okay, we're approaching time trouble also. I'm not sure. I think you can see the time on the left side. So yeah, e3. I go queen to e6, attacking the c4 pawn. It's not immediately attacked because of this, but again, I'm also threatening rook b6. So he takes here, I take here, and now you see that this pawn is extremely weak again. He goes rook e2. Now I push d3. He goes rook e3. I take on c4. He takes on d3, but unfortunately it's too little too late. Takes, and I have a winning tactic with rook c1 check. Bishop f1, and now I can collect a pawn if I want, but e4 is much stronger because it cuts off this diagonal, and my queen h3 is going to come with checkmate, or queen c4 is going to come with checkmate, depends on what he does. Goes to d2, queen c4, and you can't defend mate. So yeah, it was a very clean game. My opponent did help me by blundering a tactic early, but yeah, I can't complain there. Played quite decently, and yeah, that was game one. I was quite happy with it, and the second game I ended in a quick draw. This was pre-arranged draw. Sasha Martinovic, a very strong Croatian player, part of our team for the Olympiad, for the European teams, and I just made a quick draw with him, even though I was white. It was a double round, it was a morning round, and yeah, we just blitzed out some line. That game I decided not to play, and that was the only game. I'm not a fan of making early draws. In my career, there I can basically count on my fingers how many I've done in my career, but this game, especially after several tournaments in a row, this game I did not really feel like playing. Hi there, Ingo. Yeah, the legend, the myth. I don't know about being the legend and the myth, but now I'm the Croatian champion, so how about that? Hi there, chess golfer. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, yeah, this game I didn't play, and then the afternoon round this day, playing against Blažimir Kovačević, Croatian Grandmaster, also a strong player. I was black again. So, my strategy was to make draws with white and win with black. Joking, of course, but yeah. Anyway, my opponent plays c4. Also, he's known as a very strategical positional player. He has a big understanding of chess, and he's definitely someone to be afraid of and not underestimate. Yeah, saving the energy for Blazhnia. Go c4, I go g6, trying to go for the king's Indian to sharpen things up in my style. g3, bishop g7, bishop g2. Of course, he plays the most strategic positional line. d6, knight c3, knight f6, and now he doesn't go for d4 for the king's Indian, but he goes for e4. And now there are several ways to play this. I played it with h5, which is, I mean, I knew that it exists, but I didn't know anything else, and it's probably just to get out of, it was a move just to get out of Tiru, and it's probably not that great. There are two ways to play. I can play with castles. Usually then there's the plan with c5, knight c6, knight e8, knight c7, knight e6, and controlling this square. But yeah, again, I don't really have too much experience in these structures with c4, c5, and it's quite symmetrical. My opponent has enormous experience there, and I went h5 to just try to mix things up. He goes h3, very logical, not to allow h4. I mean, I can go h4, but g4, allowing g4 is probably not good. So I went knight c6, hoping that he will go d4. I can go here and then put the knight on d4, which he doesn't do. He goes d3. Now I played knight d7. And now there are several reasons why I want to do this. I want e5, knight c5, and then knight e6, and also maybe after knight c5 there could be knight b4 ideas. So a multifunctional move here. But of course, there are downsides to it because I'm playing the same piece in the opening twice. But on the f6, my knight really has no use anymore. So yeah, he plays knight g2. I played the move e5. And now I was expecting him to play something like f4, to immediately try to seize space, maybe castle and f5. But I guess he was not afraid, but he was concerned about the f4 probably. Knight f4 and then maybe castles or something, and then, I mean, his pawns are a bit soft here, but he has more space, and probably white is somewhat bearish here, but of course the game goes on. Anyway, he plays the move h4, which is a very interesting approach. I did see it in the game, I can't say I expected it. But yeah, I went knight c5, and his point is this, bishop g5. Now if I play bishop f6, then comes bishop f6, bishop f6, take, knight to d5, I have to go back to d8, then he probably, I'm not sure if he castles, maybe even d4 first. He can play and take stakes, and now he has more space. He destroyed my best piece, and he's just much better there. So I have to play f6. He goes bishop e3 back, and now my bishop is quite passive here, and if I ever play f5, he'll be able to come back. So yeah, I will play knight to e6. Oh, hello there, Angelica. Welcome to the stream. Knight e6, knight to d5, and now I short castled. Of course, normal logical move. Queen to d2 is played. He could have castled. I'm not sure if he needs queen d2 because his idea is not really to exchange this bishop now when he made it so weak. But yeah, queen d2. I went knight cd4. Knight d4, knight d4, ed was also possible, but I wasn't sure about this position after takes, knight to f4. I just wasn't sure who it favors having this pawn here, and I was concerned that after trades, f4 and f5 could be quite dangerous, and if I play f5, then takes, and maybe 3 against 2 in the endgame could be a problem. So I decided to take with the knight. He castles. I went for c6, knight to c3. It was possible to go to f4. I wasn't 100% sure what goes on. I probably need to go here. And yeah, not 100% sure what exactly happens, but it's probably he's going to have to exchange this knight anyway. I go here, and then I played the move f5, and yeah, this position is just very double-edged. There are several possible options for white. First of all, there was knight to e2, but that there's a problem with takes and f4, and then I'm the one who managed to seize space, and then bishop to g4 is gonna come with queen d7. so he can't really get rid of this knight so easily. Another option would be bishop d4, ed knight e2, but here I saw in the game a very, very beautiful move, f4. It is a known idea in the structures, if you look at classical games, but it's still a very nice move, because if he takes with the knight, then bishop to h6 comes, and no matter what he does, he's going to have to end up with bishop f4, gf, and queen h4, and his structure is destroyed, his king is weak, and basically nothing he can do about it. If he takes like this, it's even worse after bishop h6, so yeah, can't really take. So he took on f5, I took with the knight, bishop g5, not allowing the trade. Queen to b6 is played, I'm threatening knight g3, and it's very, very logical, forcing king h2. Bishop e6, developing move, also very normal. I want either rook e8 or rook f7, rook f8. Rook e1 is played, maybe he's hinting at f4. Rook 8 to e8. I could have gone for rook f7 also, maybe it was somewhat better, because as you will see in the future, I didn't really need the rook on e8. Knight to d1 is played. He's trying to go for knight e3 to destroy this knight, and also maybe then f4 will be better. He could have gone knight to e4 maybe also, but then I would have knight d4. And with this, if I ever go knight d4, then after f4 I will not be able to go knight to f3 anymore. And if the knight was here, then I would maybe be able to go d5 and chase the knight away at some point. So I play king h7, prophylaxis, and also to have some knight h6 in some of the lines. For example, f4, knight h6, knight g4 could be an idea. He goes b3, so that this is not hanging ever. Rook f7, now I decided to go for this, so probably rook to e8 was not needed. f3, rook e to f8, knight to f2. This whole concept was quite weird for me. I was expecting him to play something like f4, then I would continue to go here, and then probably knight to e3, knight d4, and I mean the game goes on. But this is what I was expecting, and f3 is very passive, even though this bishop is stuck on this diagonal, hitting my wall of pawns. Still, f3 seemed weird. But there is a point to bringing the knight. When he brought the knight to f2, he wants here and then later to g5, where it will hit many of my pieces. So I play prophylaxis, moving away from that. Knight h3, he will try to go there anyway. Bishop c8. And now he played the move knight to g1, which was extremely weird to me, because he's just undeveloping his knight, basically. I mean, there was a point to it, but it's still a very passive play, you will see now. So I played queen to c7, several reasons. First of all, after d5, this could be a potential problem. Secondly, I'm stopping any g4 ideas, which could sometimes be dangerous, but probably not immediately. But then there will be a problem, and my queen on b6 will not be attacked after bishop to e3. And yeah, thank you very much, Gucci. Thank you. So bishop h3 he plays. I played the move b6. Several reasons for that. First of all, I want c5, bishop b7 actually, that's probably the only reason. I said several reasons, but probably there is only one. With c5, bishop b7, and having this long diagonal for the bishop also. Now he takes on f5, a move which has surprised me quite a lot, because even though this bishop was passive, now I have the bishop pair. I decided to take with the rook. Maybe taking with the bishop was a bit better. I wasn't sure if I need the bishop here or not. I thought that I will need it on this diagonal. So bishop e3, c5, fixing the structure. Now there are countless weaknesses on the light squares. Rook f2, bishop here. So now it's very hard to make any kind of progress, so except going for the move d5. So yeah, this is what I played. So if he ever takes, then the d3 pawn will be weak. If he doesn't take, then I have the option of pushing here and also to take here and maybe go for e4. So just using space. Bishop h6 is played. Again, same as I did in the last game, he has less space, so he's trying to exchange pieces. I played the move queen to c6 with a clear idea of putting more pressure here. Now he takes, plays the move queen to e3. Probably he should have gone knight to h3. And now the problem is that after d takes, I was planning to take on f3, but the problem is that after takes, queen to f3, queen to d7 check, king h6, I don't really have more than a perpetual. And if I try for some, I don't know, queen f7, he's just in time with queen d6, and yeah, I basically have nothing in the position, but of course that was very difficult line to spot, and allowing me to open this was it's quite hard for him. So he goes here. Now I play the move queen to f6. Probably what I should have done is to play the move d4 first, and then when he puts the queen on any square, then go queen to f6, and then go for g5. Because, okay, I didn't, like, it was not the best move, because now I allowed him this option of c takes d5, even though this pawn will be weak in the future. Now this is a better version because he's not so cramped anymore, and this pawn is now weak. Weaker than it would be on e5. So yeah, goes king to g2, protecting this multiple times, so that now he wants here, and I have to go g5 honestly, because otherwise the knight would come to g5. He takes, I take. He plays the move king to h2, because I'm threatening h4, g4, rook g4. Now I played the move rook to f5, again not allowing this because I would take bishop to f3. He goes back, trying to repeat. I played the move bishop b7, several reasons. Rook d1, rook d8, queen d6 is the reason. Another could be bishop a6, so that this becomes my target too. My king is more exposed than it was, but still with these pieces he cannot really attack just yet. Knight h3, a very logical move. Rook f to d8. And yeah, now I'm putting more pressure here. Also an idea could be rook d4 and then h4 with the same idea. Now he plays the move king h2, very strong, like very strong move in a way that now he has several options with g4 and f4 to try to get counterplay. I went queen d6 attacking here, and now I think he made a mistake by going f4, because then I have a very nice endgame. But what he should have done is go g4, I think, because then after e4 check, king to h1. Now I'm not 100% sure what happens. hg4, and now if he takes this pawn, it's not so clear because my rook is hanging, and even though if I can try to attack, but then he can take here. Now there are massive complications after this and king g1, and yeah, but it was probably the best option for him. And if I don't go for e4, like e4, king h1, if I go for rook f3, rook f3, ef3, then there will be queen g5, and there won't be anything more than a perpetual. Or maybe he can even go queen g5 first. Might be stronger if d4 is possible, but yeah, the knight's hanging, so probably not. And yeah, I can retreat the rook simply, and after gh5 then do this. It could be a bit better, because then I'll be able to take on d3. But now he can maybe play either f4 or g5. So yeah, maybe he could have gone for some tactical line like this with knight f2, but yeah, it was all very hard to calculate, and he decided to play f4. I took on d3, and now he took here, fe5, I took here, he took with the rook, and now probably a stronger move was rook to d1, where I wasn't sure after knight g1, but I should have gone for this and just do this. Bishop to d5, stop the pawn, and then go rook e1, and then try to collect the knight. And if he tries this, then just improve the king and the pawn, and he's basically stuck. He can't move the king, he can't move the knight. He could, so yeah, it's just completely winning. But I play a wrong move, rook to e3. You know my stream, you know how much I suck. You know my streams, you know how much I suck in endgames. So this is one proof. I play rook to e3, and now I'm allowing him quite a lot of counterplay with knight to f4, rook e5, and now this king h3 move is a tactical blunder. But what he should have done is gone rook to d2, go here, and then go king to g2. I would go bishop g4, king f2, and now it would be a slow grinding endgame. Probably winning for me objectively. I can bring the king. I'm a pawn up, and bishop is stronger than the knight. But it would be a game. And king h3, it's not so clearly visible why it's a blunder, but it's a blunder. Now I can go king to h6, and the point is that I will play rook to e1 and rook to h1 no matter what he does, basically. So, for example, rook to d2, his idea was this: rook to e1, rook to d6 check, king g5, knight to e6, and now his idea was this: knight g7, so it would be a perpetual. I can't go here because I lose the rook, but unfortunately for him, in the game, I took the knight, and after takes, there was bishop c8, and I won this game. Rook's behind the passed pawn, engine is wrong. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that the engine is not wrong. And yeah. So yeah, it was 2.5 out of 3. Very good start. A very good start for me. And then came round 4, where I played against a junior player, Lovro Novosel, the master from Croatia. And yeah, this game was to say the least not great. Played d4, c5, knight f3, d6, bishop b5 check, knight d7. And I played this trendy line with a4. The point being that after a6, bishop to e2 usually is being retreated. Then comes knight to c3 with d4, and you see space with a5, and you just have some positional ideas here. Knight f6, knight c3, e6, castles, a6, bishop e2. Now there are several lines. There's b6. There was also a line with g6, bishop g7. But yeah, d4 takes, castles. I played rook to d1. I'm still allowing the b6 line that would transpose, but he plays queen c7. Now I play a5, fixing the structure here. And now there are some games in the database with the move knight to e5, then it takes queen c4, and then you play this relatively pleasant endgame for white. You play with knight a4, then he goes knight d7, then you play bishop e3, and you try to claim that 3 against 2 here are better than these 5 versus 4 when these pawns are doubled. So yeah, engine isn't the national champion. Engine is just the TCC champion. So yeah. But yeah, Laura decides to play this move h6, which is basically, it's not a mistake, but it's a move which causes him to lose quite a lot of time. And yeah, I played the move h3. I could have done something different. Okay, now 95 is also an idea, but for him, if he wants to play the same endgame. But my idea is to just finish the development with bishop e3, and then maybe knight d2, knight c4, knight b6 could come. And there I will claim that I have more space, and this square could be exploited. He plays rook to d8. I go here. And now he played this move e5. So the thing is, there is also a possible line here with a6, bishop e2. For example, b6, d4, takes, and then e5. And that's just a much better version of what happened in the game, because now he already spent quite a lot of time on this. After e5 and after queen c4, trade. Now you see that I already achieved everything in this Snyder structure. I have a better development. I have the fixed pawn structure. This is weak, and my position is quite overwhelming here. But okay, he plays rook to e8, moving the rook. Now he wants probably knight f8. I don't even know why he played the rook to e8. He could have gone knight f8 immediately, but anyway, I played knight to d2. Several reasons for that. First of all, I can go bishop b3, knight c4. And here also to protect this pawn, I can also go knight to d5, and after trade, go knight c4. And very, very good position for me. Knight f8. I played knight to d5, take. Knight to d7. Now it seems that his play is logical with knight f8, knight d7, but he wants to kick this bishop. And now here I made a tactical blunder. I played the move bishop to b3, which is, it's not but I see that after knight to c4, I was worried about knight f6, knight to b6, and now if he takes here, then of course I take the rook, that's clear. But after rook to b8, I just didn't see that after knight c8, if he takes with this rook, then bishop a7 comes, and after knight to d5, I take on b8, and now if he goes here, I can just take this, and if he takes the bishop, I just take the knight, and I'm winning. But yeah, unfortunately I didn't see that, and if he takes on d5, I take on e7, he has to take with the knight, and then I take d6, and it's a pawn up with a winning position. So yeah, knight to f6 would not have been played, he would have to go here, and then maybe I would have, and then it would be quite a better version of what happened in the game for me, and probably a much better version. So bishop b3, knight to f6, this is what happened in the game. Now I play the move f3, so that I can go knight c4 without this hanging. Sicilian players say there is 63 more squares to fight for, only d5 is lost. b6 is here lost too. So f3, bishop to e6 comes, knight c4. I want to go here and attacking the pawn also. Goes rook there. I played knight b6. Now I'm not too worried about this because, as you can see, my knight is controlling the c8 square, and he cannot really parry my threats on the c file. So I will go rook c7, double the rooks, and so on. But so yeah, he doesn't take. He goes rook to b8 immediately. I go rook to d3, trying to double. Goes knight d7, trying to destroy the knights. I go knight d5. He takes, I take. Knight f6, bishop b3. And yeah, now it's strategically an overwhelming position. He has weaknesses. I have the bishop pair and more space. And, oh, sorry about that. I accidentally mistyped. So yeah, here, bishop b3, rook to c8. I played the move bishop to a4 because now knight d7, knight c5 is no longer an option. So he went rook c4. I played c3. He doubled the rooks here. I went g3, slowly seizing space, improving my pieces with g3, king g2 because black has no active plan really. Bishop f8. Considering he has no active plan, he has to do passive plans. And now here comes the moment where I should just go, like, I don't know, king f1, king e2, just keep improving the pieces, and maybe in the right moment push some f4 or g4. But immediately was tempted to go for g4, and then maybe for g5 to undermine this knight. And yeah, this was a tactical oversight, unfortunately, because I didn't see the move e5 as a possibility at all. So yeah, this of course I have to take, and now here comes this move e4. Or if I had at least had the rook here on d2, it wouldn't be under attack. But yeah, now there was basically at this point there was only one move which kept a very big advantage, and that was rook to d4. It was not an easy move to find because the point is after e takes f3, there's the move d6, and the problem is that takes. If he takes here, then d7 comes with this, and now if I go here, then it's not so clean with bishop e7. It's still winning, but of course, but there is a very nice move rook to e1, so which wins on the spot. So and after rook here, he can go bishop to c5, and yeah, this is basically why this is so strong. You again go d6, bishop to d4, bishop to d4, and now if he moves the knight, then d7 or fe4 is gonna come. If he takes and takes on f3, then I go g5, take knight d4, and then d7, rook d8, and now rook c1, rook c8 comes. And that was something I didn't see, and I took fe4, rook e4, d6, trying to stop this bishop, but now unfortunately he has this nice move rook to d8. Him Lovros, hvala. So yeah, rook to d8, g5. I played the move g5. Here the action gives this move bishop to d1, still a somewhat better for white, but this was an extremely hard move to play. Like to sacrifice a pawn like this and allow all kinds of knight d5 stuff. That's just very unhuman. So I played. I didn't even think about it. I only thought about g5. But the problem is that after rook d6, bishop d4 doesn't really work, so I had to take. And now rook d1 was a possible option. But I wasn't sure what's going to happen after here. After knight to e4, rook d8, king to g7, take. And now probably I'm okay, but it feels a bit shaky with the rook coming to e2. This will hang, and he has more active pieces, so it was hard to like, and we were already in time trouble. So yeah, I decided to take here, take on e3, and go bishop to b3, going to the opposite colored bishop endgame. And I was hoping that I can attack these pawns and then try to push this, but my opponent played really well here. This part of the game, he plays bishop to c5. I have to go king h1, because if I go to f1, then I will lose this with a check. So I have to go here, rook here, and now if he goes here, then I can play bishop to d5 and actually take here. And here I could be better with b4, c4, b5. But rook e2 was very strong going for this pawn. Rook d1, takes, here bishop f8, bishop d5, and now I did achieve some dominance here, but unfortunately he's in time with rook f2, And now if I go rook d7, he takes here and protects everything. So I have to take here and try to hope for the best with this. And now if anyone's better, it's of course black, because he has his pawn up, and also my pawns are split. So his bishop will be able to control all of this. Rook a4, bishop b7. And now he played the move rook to c4, which allows me basically to end the game in a draw. He could have tried for a rook a2 check, and then if I go here to try to push the pawn or to go rook a3, that would be more uncomfortable. And this ends the game probably immediately with takes. a7, rook to a3, take, a8 queen, and yeah, it's now bishop against three pawns. Not too much to be done here, and we agreed to a draw. So yeah, bitter end to this game for me. My opponent put up a big fight. I wasn't happy after this game because of a missed chance, but we moved on. And then there was a game against Grandmaster Palats in round 5, where, okay, he's playing everything. He's a very strong player. I couldn't really prepare, but we got the King's Indian position, bishop e2, knight bd7, castle c5, bishop e3, and now I played the move queen to e7. This is one of the lines, and he played the move d5, which I know is not supposed to be theoretically great, but I could not really remember why. And the main move here is knight g4. It's not a bad one, but what in reality the best plan is to play a5, and then knight to e8, f5. Just very, very simple. And in general in King's Indians, the rule of thumb is to never allow bishop e3, knight d2, and f3. But here, this is exactly what should be allowed. And then you have ideas with bishop f6, bishop g5, and black is perfectly fine. But yeah, in the game, and knight g4, I wasn't sure, because when he goes here, and now he can go to h4 or to d2, and for example, if he goes to d2, f5, knight to g5, some position like this can arise, and then maybe I play knight d2, f6, and of course the game goes on, but I wasn't sure. And then I played the move in the game. I played the move c5, which exists in these pawn structures. Yeah, not even sure how you draw this. 3 pawns versus bishop. I mean, the bishop is just too active. No worries, Ingo. Yeah, so I played this move c5, simply closing down the center and then trying to go king h8, knight g8, bishop h6, f5, and all the normal King's Indian / Czech Benoni ideas. But my opponent played a very, very uncomfortable move here, bishop g5, and he offered me a draw. And I was thinking here for like 15 minutes, and I knew that in order to get king h8, knight g8, first of all, the problem if I play, for example, king g8, king h8 or something, he would go maybe a3 to go for this, and if I try to go here for knight g8, then he always has at least knight b5 and b4, and I'm wasting quite a lot of time. So the only move which seems to make sense is h6, but now after bishop h4, I simply realized that I don't have a good move. If I played g5, I was calculating this for a long time. Bishop g3, knight e4, knight e4, f5, because now I am getting the piece back, but he can just play knight f to d2, and after I take, knight to f6, he goes here, take here, bishop takes f5, and he's simply better here, and it's not even complicated. He's easily better. He will play f3, and rook b1, b4 is going to come, and my bishop is just bad. He has a blockade, and I have no real way of continuing with my attack, as I have exchanged so many pieces. If I go knight h5 here for this, then the problem is knight to e1. If I take, it's of course very bad, because it's going to be bishop g4, knight c2, knight e3, and my f5 square is going to be exploited. And if I go knight to f4, then he will go bishop g4, and same thing. For example, I don't know, knight f6, then bishop c8, takes, knight to c2, and the knight is going to come here. So yeah, I decided to accept the draw here, because I just think that my position is worse. And I think it was a good practical decision here. Hvala Ibarix, hvala. I think it was a good practical decision. So, and in the next game, I faced Grandmaster Rogic, who is more of a coach these days, but he used to be a 2600 GM, so definitely not somebody to underestimate. And I was white. I wanted to win games, so I played e4. Not that you can't win with d4, but this was sharper. And we went for this line, castles bishop e7, and I took on c6. And after the game, my opponent told me that he was preparing this exact line with his student a day before this game happened. And I was like, okay, I could not have done worse. Like, take, rook e1. Yeah, e4, very scary, yeah. Rook e1. And this queen d6 move is very popular, got very popular recently. And I remembered that now I played the move b3, and I remembered that knight a3 is supposed to be the main move, but he played this quite quickly, and he's usually not a great theoretician, so I knew that he had something up his sleeve. Then I decided to just. I was playing some b3 by memory, but in general this is not a very good strategy against this structure. When you play b3, because when they achieve knight d7 and f6, then the bishop usually hits the wall of pawns. Bishop g4, bishop b2, knight d7. Now my opponent even managed to activate this bishop. d3, long castles, knight bd2, and I think my opponent should have gone for the move queen g6 here, and then after knight c4 to play f6, knight e3, bishop to e6. But he said that it seems kind of slow to him, so he played f6 immediately, but then I achieved knight c4, queen e6, knight e3. He went h5. I played h3, kicking the bishop. We trade here. He plays g6 to have f5 ideas in the future, and also to be able to move the rook without h5 hanging. I played bishop c3. Considering that our kings are on the opposite sides of the board, I'm gonna push here. He's gonna push here. He goes rook f8, having this in the air, and now I play d4. Probably I should have gone for the move b4 so that he doesn't have this square in the future, and it's also the c5 idea. He could have gone c5 again, but at least after rook b1 it would be a better version than in the game, because in the game I played a4 and he went to c5, then I played rook b1, knight b8, b4. And when we traded everything here, he got like the downside is that his knights became active, and we'll come to d4 with a tempo. But the upside of my play is that I'll have doubled rooks here, and I'm the first one who managed to open a file in front of his king. But he found this very nice idea with f5, and after e takes f5, g takes f5. Now I played a very, very bad move. It seems like a logical move, but rook e to b1, that seems like a very logical move, but what I should have done is to take the queen and take with the queen on h5, and then I'm not even sure what he would have played, and I think that I'm a bit better here, even though it's still of course a game. But the reason why this is so bad is because after rook b7 I'm not gonna threaten anything, and he's first with the attack in time with f4. After I go knight c4, which was my idea, I can go knight f1, but that takes quite a lot of time to reroute it to e4. He has this brilliant move e4. Now if I take here, then it's basically game over. After rook d4 I have to, like, it's so sad, I have to put the knight here, then he will take this, and it's totally lost. If I take with the pawn, then of course he takes the knight, and I took on h5 because it was the only viable option. And now he took on d3, which, like, during the game I thought that I'm getting checkmated after rook h8, queen g4, hg, and then rook somewhere, probably to h4 and doubling the rooks. I thought that I will just get checkmated here after one or two moves. But the good thing is that he's not in time to checkmate me, because after knight d4 I'm in time to eliminate one of the rooks. So that's good. And for example, here, even if I take, I'm still getting checkmated, but I have to find king e1 first. And the reason is now that the b1 rook is defended, and without these two rooks, he would have rook to h1. So I wasn't getting mated, but it would be a very uncomfortable to play this endgame after rook to h8. I'm the champ, yeah. Today we are the champions. Queen to h5, ed3 was played, cd, rook d3. My opponent said that he wanted more than rook h8, that he thought that this is better, he's trying to win the game. But now I have this move, knight to d2, which holds everything together, because when the knight comes to f3, then it's going to be more solid and way less attacking potential. Now when he played rook g8, I played king to h1, first of, I mean, I could have, h3 was hanging, so I could have gone knight to f3 too, but I wasn't sure what happens after rook to d5. Yeah, at least he can go here and make a draw, but he probably can do more than that. So I think king h1 was better. He played rook to g6, and this move I'm not sure if it's all that great. His point was that after knight d3, rook to d5, queen to h4, he can go rook to f5, and now he thought that he will get some, I don't know, maybe a perpetual on the queen or something. I'm not even 100% sure. And now there are several options. The first thing that comes to mind is takes, rook to h6, and then knight to d4. And the good thing is, like, obviously this doesn't work because there will be here and check. If he takes the queen, I will take his queen. He will have to play some rook h7 to defend this pawn. Then I would have to retreat the rook. He would attack here, and it would be an endgame. I'm not sure how winning it was, but yeah, I would definitely have an edge there. But then I found an even better idea to go queen to h8 check. He has to go here and then queen to h7. And now it's like both of these rooks are stuck. The queen has to defend them, and b7 is still hanging. So when he plays b6, I can play rook to c2. And now the knight, he cannot move the knight, and I will go rook c1 next move. So yeah, thank you, smart guy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. He can't move the knight as this is checkmate, and there is nothing he can do to get rid of the queen. He can't go queen g6 because of takes and knight h4. Queen f7 just hangs this, and yeah, he has to basically go rook c5. But after takes, now his king is weak. This will fall, and it did in a few moves. Queen c2, knight a5, queen c3, queen g6, threatening mate. I have to go rook g1, but this is still hanging. Knight e5, cutting the protection. Here, queen c4. Now after this, of course, there is queen g8. Rook h8, threatening mate, knight f3, because now after takes, knight h2, it's not mate anymore. Knight d6 is played, check, rook e1, going knight e5, and the rest of the game is very, very straightforward. Queen b7. And now after a few moves, I just took the pawn. Here there is no perpetual even after king g1, but of course there is no perpetual here either. And yeah, this is how I managed to win this game. But this is the game which I played probably the worst. And now comes the where's the tequila we need to celebrate? Yeah. They're not you guys know that I don't drink alcohol, and even if I became the world champion, I wouldn't do it. We don't drink alcohol here, guys. There are many channels where we do, but and this was a very, very wild game against Marin Bosiocic, who ended second, and who put a big fight here. What about affiliates? You said you cancelled? I mean, I'm not a Twitch affiliate. If I was an affiliate, then you would be able to gift subs, cheer, and so on, and you can't. So yeah, very, very wild game. It was again a double round, so I didn't have time to prepare at all. And I played the Sicilian, knight of6, yeah. Takes, e5, knight d5. Actually, I decided to play this rook b8, which is not, it is a gamble line, because it's not too good, but it gives big attacking potential, and if your opponent doesn't know what they're doing, you can win easily. And basically, I actually played this in honor of a long lost friend who taught me this line at first. So c4, bishop b4 check, king e2, castles, takes, knight g5, and now, funnily enough, I have one game of this in the database, and it was from Title Tuesday, and they also played this h6 and f6 line. f6 also is the main. f6 first is the main move, I think, but I think this is objectively better. Now, I remembered that there is ef6 and there is a3, but my opponent played the move bishop d2, which I have never seen, and I was 100% sure. I was 100% sure that it's bad, but and I spent 15 minutes here, and I couldn't really understand why it's bad. And I will tell you some of the lines which I was analyzing. Is alcohol good or bad for chess? I mean, I just don't think I like to be in control of my actions, so that's why don't really like. I don't like to drink. You can enjoy without drinking, guys. There is a button gift sub, but it's not possible. No, of course it's not possible. I don't know who drank a lot, but I didn't. Yeah, I took fe5. That's a very logical move to play at first. fe5, fe5, and now in the end I decided to play the move d6. And there were several better options. First of all, there was the rook f3, a rook sacrifice, which is like, okay, of course gf3 is not possible because he will get checkmated here with bishop c5, or even like this is enough. This is good enough, but bishop c5 is probably better. So he has to take with the king, and now the point is you have to take the queen e5, play a silent move, and understand that you're rook down, but you're winning. And what I didn't understand in the game was bishop to d3. I saw bishop a6, bishop f4. Of course, if he takes, then there is rook f8. That's checkmate in a couple of moves with queen f5. But I saw bishop f4, rook f8, g3. And here I thought that white has managed to consolidate and achieve everything, but the engine cold-bloodedly says g5, queen to e2, and now if I take, then it's like an exchange down, still a fight. But now there is a beautiful move g4. Beautiful move g4, king g4, takes, and now even though it's still an exchange down, now after this move rook to f5, and after this, e5 is gonna come, and these pawns are just gonna be steamrolling here. And basically black is near winning and probably winning. So a very hard line to calculate. The other win was even harder, to me at least. Queen c4 check. And now if he goes king to f2, then I think it's like quite straightforward here, the g3 and queen f4, simply putting more pressure. But I was quite worried about king e1, queen e4 check, bishop to e2. And now the problem is that okay, I play bishop to a6, for example, simply like continuing with the attack. And after bishop b4, rook b4, queen d2, I need to find this extremely beautiful move, rook to d4. This is like a brilliant. This is like a brilliant move. This is like I don't know who would find these 5 moves in advance. You need to put a rook in front of a knight and a queen. Yeah, right. I didn't drink anything at the closing ceremony together with Kožul. Trolling is not needed, but we still have the. Yeah, I would reply with this. Troll for my special emote, which only I have because there are no more subs. Anyway, the point is, of course, this is very easy, but this is not so easy because after queen g2, in this moment, I'm a rook and a piece up, and I'm winning. And there is basically nothing he can do because he just can't defend the rook. Unbelievable. And I didn't calculate, I couldn't calculate any of this, and then I just decided to play d6, try to open things up, and go for e5, e4 in the future. And basically it throws away all of my advantage, it equalizes, and yeah, now my opponent plays a3. Here I again had a choice to go here, but I wasn't sure about it. Bishop d2, queen d2, and for example de5. That was better than what I did in the game. In the game I played bishop d2, queen d2, de5. But after queen c3, I thought that after queen c3, bc, rook here, king e3, e4, I will have quite a lot of counterplay, but in general white is just much better. I can't really move these pawns after knight e5. So yeah, I have to go for some counterplay on the second rank. And even though I still do have some ideas with rook c2, there are many loose things. It's not objectively totally winning, but it's much better for white. Yeah, he goes rook c1, bishop b7 I went. For that, for this there are like several reasons, like rook f5 can be a threat, and now there is no knight c6. and then this knight could get trapped after knight g4, h5. Bishop b5 is played, rook f5, knight c6, bishop takes, bishop takes. It was interesting to play rook b5, but I thought in the game that this endgame is lost at rook to b1, because basically I have to trade or play bishop c6 first, and then when this happens, rook to b1, bishop, like if I go to c4, then I will lose a pawn. So probably this, and now after a4 takes rook to b6. I was pretty sure that I will lose this sooner or later. After bishop b3, he will go, I don't know, if king e5 or something. But yeah, even though I have 2 pawns for an exchange, his king is extremely active and I can't really make progress. So I decided to not go for rook b5, but to take and take g2. But now he has this move c4. And even though I have 3 pawns for a piece, this will all fall apart, and it will be just a very, very hard defensive task for me. Rook f3, king d4, rook d2. Now after king c5, my idea was here, and after takes there is rook f6, king d7, dc4. And now it was a playable line for him, but what he played is way easier. King c5 takes cd, ed. And now he can take, of course, here takes, take on e4, and it's a very hard position to defend, because even though this pawn is wrong colored, I still need to exchange 2 pairs of rooks to reach that drawn position. But yeah, my opponent plays a more ambitious move, king to d6, a move which I very much liked during the game, because he's just trying to go for checkmate, to attack me with all of his pieces, because my rooks are quite far out of play. And now, I mean, I have 6 minutes on the clock, he has 54 minutes, I have to play by inertia. I play king h7, he plays rook g1, I play e3, and he plays rook b1, and now I played the move g5, and like his idea was to go here, bishop to 8, king f5, but unfortunately for him, I can just keep on running, and my king can traverse half of the board, but it's completely safe here. And it came from h8 from h7 to b2, but basically there is no win here. And my opponent plays this move, king to e5, trying to go for king f6 and then rook b7, so that my king can't escape that way. But yeah, e2. Now check. King h8, only move. He can repeat now. He can make a draw if he wants, but he can't do anything else. And the good thing is that after, for example, here, king to f6, I have to move rook to a6, an extremely important move, pinning his king, and again he has to make a draw. But my opponent decides to play rook e1, trying to simply capture maybe this pawn first, or go king f5 first, and not allow rook d1. But now I have a very nice move, and it's the only move to save the game, I think, rook to f3, because it stops his king from going here. And yeah, without the king being able to come here, there is no more mating attack, and also after king g7 I'll be able to cover with, after some check king g7, I can even cover here. And so my opponent plays bishop d7, I play rook f7. So now the game is starting to go around. Now he desperately needs to play rook b8, king g7, bishop f5, or bishop to e6. And when he played the move h4, I was so relieved, because now I can play king to g7, and now it's probably almost winning for me. Because after king g7, now he cannot really get rid of the pin anymore, because he can't give a check on b8. And I just have very simple plan, d4, d3, rook d1. And yeah, in the game, he couldn't really find a way to get out of it. He played h5, I played d4, king d6, d3, rook he went back. And now, even though there should be quite a lot of good moves, I think the cleanest is rook d7, king f6, which I played. Because even though he's the whole rook up, he just, for example, no matter what he does, I will just play rook a2 or rook c2 and d2, d1. So, for example, he tried here, now rook c2 was even easier. But for example, if king d6, rook a2, king d5, I can go here. Okay, maybe it's smarter to push g4, but even this position, like after takes is totally winning, even though it requires some more technique. But I will take this pawn, and it will be 2 against 0 on the king side. So it felt like the cleanest win. He tried rook c1, but now I have rook c2 because he can't take and go here because I'm just faster and cannot touch any of the pawns because the other promotes. And he went back, I went g4, rook a1, d2, and I managed to win this game. Very, very interesting game, very big fight against Marin, but it was a game changer in the tournament. Big win with the black pieces. Critical moment of the tournament. And yeah, that's where I took the sole lead from him. In game 8, I played against another one of my teammates from the German Bundesliga, Vladimir Bukal, international master. I mean, his rating is 2337, but in reality, like, he was 2400 several months ago. So he's a very dangerous, strong player, very good tactician, not to be underestimated. So I started the game with e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. He went e6, I castled. Now he played the move knight to d4, a move which I remembered vaguely that after takes, c3, a6, bishop d3, bishop c5, it's supposed to go like this with knight a2, knight a3, knight c2. But I was like, okay, let's not run into some preparation. And then I was just like trying to figure out something over the board. I was considering whether I will retreat the bishop to d3 or to e2, and I retreated it here. He went knight e7, I played c3, takes, and my idea is bishop here, rook d1, d4. Very simple. Knight c6. Now when he put the knight here and not on g6, then now I put the bishop on b5 so that I have the option of taking also. Bishop e7, rook d1, going for d4, castles d4. My opponent plays queen b6, bishop c6, bc, and now we have a very, very interesting position. The bishop pair is on the black side, and on the white side I have more space and somewhat better. Okay, I won't say better development, but better structure. b3. I played the move b3 because I want my bishop on a3 to pin this pawn. He plays a5. Now I first included the move queen g3 threatening bishop h6 to force f6, bishop a3. Now he went for the move d5, and here I probably should have gone for the move c4, which was quite good because after d takes c4, there is a nice intermediate move knight c3. After cb, ab, for example, if he takes here, there is the move knight to d5, which I didn't see unfortunately in the game, because after this takes, there is bishop c5 and I collect the exchange. And if he doesn't take here, he plays some other move, any other move, doesn't matter, like queen a7 or queen b7, then I will just be able to collect this pawn, and you can see how bad this bishop is, and I will be able to exploit these squares. Of course, all of this was very hard, and I played a very human knight d2 move, finishing my development. Yeah, I was a freestyler. I don't really like theory and memorization. I prefer chess 960. So, yeah. Rook a7. Now I took bishop c5, considering this is defended, he's threatening to take. So yeah, trade, and I have to go c4 to try to open everything up. My opponent plays d4, and now if he manages to achieve e5, it would be much better. It would be much better for black because of the more space, similar to my game against Tita in the round 1. So e5 is the only move which makes any sense, because now if he takes with the f-pawn, of course, then I will go knight d4 and take the pawn. That's extremely bad. If he takes with the queen, then I will take the queen and I will go knight to c3 or rook e1. This will fall, and the endgame is somewhat better for me after, for example, c5 and take. And that's why my opponent didn't like any of that. If he plays f5, that's possible, but I will play knight to f3. He can go rook d7. I will play probably knight to e1, knight d3, and I will slowly try to outplay him. Here with the baron knight against the world's bishop. And my opponent played a very interesting idea with a4. His idea is simply, if I take ef6, he will play queen f5. He will give up a pawn and just pretend that nothing ever happened. So he's trying to play c5. If I ever take here, then I will get checkmated. So yeah, interesting idea, but unfortunately for him it doesn't really work. I play the move b4 to stop c5. He plays c5 anyway, but I take. And now he plays rook to f7. He would like to go here, but unfortunately there is a big problem with that. And if he does something else like rook f6, then I think I can just go knight to f3 and then collect this pawn. So yeah, he goes here. Now I play knight f3. He takes on c5. And now I spent quite a lot of time... Yeah, protected best pawn. Now I spent quite a lot of time, like 20 minutes here, and decided to go for queen e5 and for this endgame. The reason why I didn't go for knight g5, of course rook f6, knight e4 is easy, but if he goes here, now I wasn't sure like how to improve. I was continuing, I was like seeing various moves like rook b1, rook e1, but I didn't see one idea which makes all of this extremely easy. For example, rook b1, queen c4, and now f7 check, king h8, and now this very interesting idea with queen to a3, sliding the queen over and attacking this rook, which cannot be defended in any way, and it's game over on the spot. So he can never take here, and if he doesn't take, then rook b8 is going to come. This is never possible. Rook f6 is also never possible. If h6, then comes the same thing with king h8, and then I will be able to play rook to b5 first. If takes, then queen somewhere. Again, if he goes to e7, then I have another thing which I didn't see, queen to d3. Queen g5 is of course now defended, hg runs into checkmate. So yeah, very hard to see all of these tactics. I mean, I do go for the endgame, considering that after this, rook d2, rook f5, rook e1, this is weak, the knight is much better than the bishop, and I have a passer, and this will fall. So bishop b7, and the rest of the game was extremely straightforward. Rook d8, c5, here, rook d4, bishop d5, and here I didn't see a very nice win with rook a4, I can simply take. After rook c5 there is the move g4, and if he goes here or here it's knight d7, if he goes here it's knight d3, if here there is h4. So, could have won the game on the spot, didn't do it, I prolonged the resistance a bit, but now it's a clean pawn up. Rook b4, bishop d5, rook a1, and yeah, the rest of the game is just, there's nothing to be done. My knight will cover c6, so yeah, rook b6, knight b4, I went for c6, knight a6, king f4, it was also possible to go for c7 and here with the king, but king f4 is fair enough. I traded one pair of rooks, knight b4, my opponent resigned, because after this I will just collect this and the rook endgame is totally winning. Yeah. Yeah, right. The endgame, I'm the endgame machine, except that I screwed up half of the endgames. Yeah, there were so many things to calculate in that game, so I didn't go for knight g5, but yeah. My favorite endgames were with the queen up also, so but with the rook up are also fine. And yeah, this was a very nice score. I had 6.5 out of 8. I was leading, and then I had a game with black against Grandmaster Fetchets, who is very strong, experienced grandmaster, very dangerous tactical player with white. And yeah, I decided to go for a Sicilian. I wanted to win the game, and I played this rouser line. And I played the line with bishop e7, f4, bishop d7, knight f3, b5, take, king b1, b4, knight d2. And now for some reason, I remembered that a5 is the right move, and I played it quite quickly. But in general, it's just a mistake, because now after f5, if I go for the move e5, then he's in time with bishop to c4, seizing this square. And if I don't play this, if I play for the normal queen f4, then he's quite fast with knight f4, and then g3, bishop h3. So yeah, I'm just quite slow. And for some reason, I remembered that a5 is the move, but it wasn't. So that's basically not very good when it happens. Queen d6, by the way, is the best move here, and the main move, probably the best also. Anyway, a5, my opponent didn't exploit it. He went for knight d4, knight d4, knight d4, queen b6. What was my tournament ELO estimate? I mean, I think I needed to score 7. Or 6.92. No, 6.92. Yeah, 6.92 was what I was supposed to score to keep my rating. High last former. Yeah. I won the tournament. Yeah, indeed. My performance was about 2650-ish. Yeah. My opponent now plays this very uncomfortable idea with h4, rook g8, rook e3. And this is a new idea in the browser, to put the rook on e3 or d3 and then go g3, solidify everything, and then try to go for f5. Now I played rook c8. My rooks are going on the open files, of course. Rook e3, a4, b3, and now I played the move rook c5. I was kind of concerned after king f8 if he can go e5, but probably it's not so good for him, because after takes, it was not so easy to calculate this after rook to e5, and my king is a bit exposed, so who knows what's going on. And that's why I played rook c5 first, to cover this fifth rank. But unfortunately, with bishop e2, king f8, now he can play g4, g5, and he's quite fast on this side of the board. And maybe I should have gone for this, but I thought white is better here. I like when he goes with rook g3, rook g1, it's kind of sketchy. So that's why I decided to play the move e5. GM norm? I do have GM norms. I do have GM norms for 1 year. I mean, I did have 2600, but we won't say what happened to them. I lost it. I had it like several months ago. My live rating was 26, so 3 or 4. Feels very dangerous. It feels very dangerous indeed. But yeah, his king can also be weak after a4 and when things get exposed. So here my opponent plays d takes e5. This was also possible with takes, rook to d3, bishop f5, and now if gf, then I think rook g2 is coming, and if ef, I think rook e5 is quite tricky, because now I will be able to play rook e3, king g7, rook c8, and so on. And my opponent, I think, correctly plays takes first. And now I decided to play a move which is in reality a horrible move. But I can take with the rook, it's not so clean. And I can take with the d pawn, which is probably the best option, because after takes, for example, takes, rook g2, my king is quite safe. And if takes with this, I don't know, rook c7 to stop queen d7. And yeah, it's the game goes on. But what I did is probably the worst capture of them all, and I didn't even understand the reason why. And the reason why is knight f5, bishop f5. If gf, bishop h4 is fine, but ef, bishop h4. And now we played this endgame, takes, and after king e7, I actually offered him a draw, and he accepted, because he's a player who very often takes draws against high-rated players. So, but I thought that I'm worse in this position, but not much. I still thought it's very, very double-edged and playable. But there is a beautiful move, rook to e4, which neither one of us saw. Simply going for the b4 pawn, and it's the position is just very, very hard. Rook b4 or even queen b4. Even queen b4 and takes, this falls apart. And I don't have enough counterplay. Still need to waste quite a lot of time for the king. And yeah, it was not good. Yeah, 2560 very soon, right? I'm very ambitious. If I ever come back to 2600, it's going to be good. So yeah, this rook e4, neither one of us saw. The game ends in the draw. I'm quite happy with it. I was lost. I even mixed up the move order in the line. So yeah, definitely one of the 2 worst games I played in the tournament. And then comes the penultimate round against International Master Rejan. A must-win game for me. With the white pieces, I decided to play the slow approach, knight to f3, g3, bishop g2, to play for the double fianchetto. And my coach is a very big expert in this. My coach, Grandmaster Dizler, he's a big expert in this line with white. He played with both white and black, and yeah, I just followed the normal plan with queen e2, knight c3. There are many classical games of old masters in this line. After the idea is to go f4, then g4, g5, and then try to attack here with the pawn majority and leave this pawn here. The other idea was also to push with go rook c1, d4, but in the game I chose this f4, knight a7, a4. This is to stop b5. I can go g5 or g4 also immediately, but yeah. Ambitious chess improver. Ratings will rise again? I don't know, we will see. The plebs like you get some Elo gifted by FIDE in January. Yeah, that also comes. But doesn't matter. Like the title is here, the rating is less important. Yeah, Kožul was not really leading. Bosjocic was leading most of the tournament. And then after he lost to me, then I was leading. But okay, a4. We trade, he goes rook b8. I go g4, g5. He plays rook d8, f5, knight e8, knight e4, taking more space, going with the knight to f3 to e5. He can never chase these knights away. f5 is always in the air. It was stronger to play f5 here, but it was kind of hard to evaluate the position. But yeah, the engines just scream f5 immediately. Hope you play Hans. He was strong. Hans is good. Hans is good. Hans is good. Rook d8, g5, knight e8, knight e4, knight e6, knight f3, and now my opponent plays knight to d6. And here there was like I saw that after knight f6 that my position here would be very very good, but I wasn't sure what to do after king h8. And yeah, surprisingly enough, there's some very interesting lines arising here, even some sacrificial lines. But okay, it's not even so important now. There's some. It's not even so important now because what I played in the game is very much human standards, and I think it's everyone would just do this play 95 in the because now when you look at the structure, you see that for example when the knight disappear as they did, what happens now? This is thinking in long term. So I have this 2 against 3, and I have this weakness which is very big. So if I put the rooks here, it will be very hard to defend. He will have to have his rooks passive here to protect it. So this bishop, I have this wall of pawns which restricts this bishop. So when I put my bishop on c3, there will be no counterplay on the d file. And my bishop will not be able to be challenged by his bishop, because his bishop simply has no squares for that. So that's why, realizing that, I entered this position, exchanging both knights, and didn't even look at tactical lines there to attack, because this is very very dangerous, and you will see how easily I won the game. Oh, hello, Inatlas. Queen b7, rook b7, bishop c3, all very logical. G3, rook fb1, bishop f8. And now there was a very nice tactical idea. It was pointed out to me after the game, but I didn't see it at all. To go rook to a3 first, with the point after bishop g7 to go bishop a5. Very nice. And now exploiting the pin, and he can't defend this at all. And yeah, my idea in the game was to play rook a2, bishop g2, bishop f6, but I realized that after bishop f6, gf, h6, king f2, g5, or king h7 first and then g5, it's not so clear, and he will get some counterplay. And then after bishop g7, I decided to take, go king f2, rook b8, rook b2. Now the rooks are passive here. He has to defend. And now my king is on a highway to e5 and f6. So you can see that his structure is quite weak, and he doesn't really have any useful moves. So h4 here, h5 was maybe better, but king e5 is also fine. Now he played h5 himself, trying to at least not allow me to go h5, h6 to create this weakness. Yeah, he can challenge my bishop via g7, king shield hider, and he did in this way, but as we see, it's too little too late. So hvala Ipo, hvala. Nadam se da će biti još titula, počevši od evropskog prvenstva sutra. Germany and Ukraine congratulate Leon, Talent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and greetings to Germany and to Ukraine. But I'm definitely not awesome. That's overestimating it. How can I know if exchanging queens is better for you? In your head, you need to visualize what is going to happen after the queen exchange and see which pieces will remain and which activity those pieces will have. So, for example, I saw that my rooks will be way more active than his rooks, that I will have a weakness on d2, he will have a weakness on d6, but he cannot attack my weakness and I can attack his weakness. And yeah, also I have more space. I see space with g5, and all these factors includes, because of those, I concluded that the endgame is better for me. Yeah, I said some word, the European Blitz and Rapid Championship starts tomorrow in my city, and I will play. I mean, I will try to become a European champion, of course, why not? To Rapid Blitz down. And now when my opponent played this move h5, I decided to simply capture gh6 because of a concrete approach. Rook h8, this was now a concrete calculation. a5, it's probably the only move, because if I allow him to take and take, then it won't be clear at all, even if my king comes here. But I have a win. b5, only move. cb5. If he takes with the a pawn, then I just push a6, and I will collect this, and everything will fall apart. I will be material up, and all the pawns will fall. My opponent takes with the rook, and now king f6, rook h6, all forced, rook b6, ab, and a very important move a6. And what's the point? If my opponent, for example, plays this, then I can play the move king to g7, and if he takes here, I will take on b5. This is not possible. And if he takes here, then I will just collect the c5 pawn, and I will collect all of these pawns because this king is so weak and my king is so active. So if he takes my pawn here, then I will again be able to play king to g7, king to b6, and we'll come to the same position. And if my opponent played b4, trying to keep this passed pawn alive, but here I have a brilliant move, king to g7, restricting the access to the rook to a8. So then my opponent resigned the game. Because if he takes here, unfortunately for him, there is rook a1, and there is no way of stopping a7, 8. So yeah, this game I was quite happy with. And if he plays rook h8 here, then I just start collecting the pawns. He can, for example, go rook a8, but I will take here, and then my h pawn is going to win the game. What is fed? I don't know. That's a position I won't win because I don't find a way to break through. Yeah, you need to slowly find, just slowly maneuver and try to seize more space, create more weaknesses. No, Sasha didn't blunder his rook. He didn't blunder the rook after king g7. This king d5, that's just when you put the kings on the live board on e4 and d5. So that's only it. But this just loses. So. And yeah. Entering the final round, I am leading with 1 point ahead of 2 other players, but it's nothing. I just can't lose. Yeah, brilliant. It wasn't brilliant, but it was a decent game. It was one of the better ones in this tournament, which I didn't really make any silly mistakes. I think I played quite decently there. My thought and my speech are not faster than Hikaru, not at all. Yeah, now against Kozul. So I didn't really prepare, and this is that's why I didn't stream Title Tuesday yesterday. I wanted to sleep, I wanted to rest. So yeah, I decided to go for the Bogo Indian. I know that he plays the knight bd2 lines, and after b6, I mean, you know Kozul. He's extremely good in endgames, extremely good strategical player, but in tactics he somehow lacks. Sometimes he blunders tactically. And in every single game of mine, I was winning against him by tactics, and half of them I lost, but I know how to play against him. And Hikaru 2.0, come on. It's not Hikaru is Hikaru, and I am nobody. Thank you, Brady. Thank you. But Kozul surprises me with bishop d2, more positional line, also one which suits his style best. And now I played the old main line with queen e7. Usually I was playing the Bogo Indian with a5, but here I switched it up, take. Here there is the idea of here, and queen b4. And this is one of the points of the line, because now knight c3 is not possible. I mean, it's possible, but it will destroy the pawn structure. There is a new line with king f1 here also. d5 or f5, but the theoretical part is not so important now. My opponent takes with a knight. I played d6. He plays the move knight f1. It is one of the lines. It wasn't familiar to me during the game, but yeah. Hikaru has more experience explaining what he's doing, that's for sure. So, but I still hope you'll find some of these things instructive and yeah, I can't really do anything else. Then explain like this because there are like 11 games to explain. Now I play the move e5, opening up the bishop. This is my strategy, get rid of this bishop in the Bogo Indian and have this good one, knight e3, aiming for some ideas with knight d5. If he goes knight d5, I can go queen d8, castles, and now I played the move bishop g4, which, like, I didn't know what exactly I'm supposed to do here. I can play some simple moves like rook e8, maybe going for e4, but bishop g4 is a move which poses immediate problems because I want bishop f3 and knight d4. He basically has to take and go e3. Now I go knight f6, and now I exchanged one more pair of pieces. And yeah, maybe he's somewhat better because he has bishop and a bit more space, but it's a very playable position. I have no weaknesses, and yeah. Yeah, I'm also really good now. Like, you can't compare me with Hikaru, even though he was on this stream once. He wrote a message on this stream once, so and rated us once. So shout out to Hikaru. I'm explaining over the board to my opponents. No, not really. Hikaru was never a Croatian champion. That's also true. Anyway, back to the game. A3. Trying to expand with b4. Logical. It's logical to prevent it with a5. Now he plays rook to c1. He could have gone for b3 to stop my a4, but he plays more ambitiously, allowing me to play a4. And I do play a4, not to allow his b4 in the future, and also creating a weakness. For example, you can imagine if he ever goes d5 or d5, then my knight is going to come to d7, c5, and it's better to have the structure like this. He plays queen c2, rook e8, all very standard moves. Maybe I want to take and go queen e2, rook d1. Now I play the move g6, which is just a prophylactic move. Maybe king g7 and h5. I can think about doing in the future. Also, not to allow some knight h4, knight f5 in some lines. So yeah, just waiting for him because I wasn't sure what his plan is going to be. This position. Hikaru is from China and I'm from Vietnam. Okay. Do I really have a Vietnamese character? I mean, maybe if I put the hair and I need to put my eyes a bit Chinese also. It would be. Anyway, my opponent plays c5, and that's a move which changes the structure a lot, because now he's giving me an option to go e4, takes, knight d2, and d5. And had I gone e4 with the pawn being on c4, then I wouldn't be able to go d5. So yeah, now I see space here, and it's clear that I'm going to attack on the king side, while he will try to do positional play on the queen side to attack my pawn with knight b1, knight c3. Anyway, he plays bishop to f1, a move which I'm not sure if it's needed, because later he needed that bishop in the defense. I played the move queen e6, very logical. If he ever goes bishop b5, I can have queen h3, knight g4, and attack. He goes knight b1, I go h5, knight b3, and now I play rook e to c8. The point is to stop him from taking here due to knight d4. He plays rook d2, trying to go queen d1 and then take. And now I spent quite a lot of time, like 10 minutes here, calculating the move knight a5, because now he cannot take here because of knight c4 and I take the rook. He can't take here, and if queen d1, there's knight b3, so he would have to spend one more move on, for example, rook b1 or something like that. And then when I come knight b3, he would maybe go here or here, but I wasn't sure what my knight is doing here, and then I would go h4, but like I wasn't sure what my knight is doing here, and I decided to not do that after rook d2, and I just went h4 immediately, going for the attack. My opponent played queen d1. Now he's really threatening to take. I went knight e7 for that reason, because now he again can't take, as the knight will hang. He goes here. Now he's threatening to take again, because after rook c2, queen c2, queen a4, it will be a problem. Now I take here. He takes with this pawn. fg was also possible, but then knight g4, knight f5, this would be quite weak, even after queen f5, queen g5. So he does this. And now I play knight h7. A move which engine dislikes a lot, but it's so logical to put the knight on g5 and f3. So, and somehow I was supposed to play this and rook c6, and then engines just say it's extremely good for black, but it's so hard to understand this as humanly. And now you wait for my games to appear on Matter channel? No, I don't think he will cover any of my games. He never did cover any of my game because, like, why would he? They're not something too special. But yeah, I went here. Bishop e2 is played, and there's a very interesting line here. If he takes on a4, rook takes c2, queen takes c2, knight g5, and now if my opponent plays, for example, bishop g3, knight f3, if he takes, he basically cannot defend this in any way. If he even goes here, then I take here and go here. It's again checkmate. And if he goes king f1, then there is this beautiful move queen a6. It's a reminder of the Bukal game where I had this queen to a3, if you remember, to attack the f8 rook. So, but this time I did see the motive and I saw this whole line, so he can't take on a4. That's why he went here, knight g5, bishop g4. And this, even though this seems like a waste of time, at least now my queen cannot really attack, at least not yet. So my attack has to be postponed a bit. Yeah, he will if you suggest, but I don't think so. Hyder normal at super. Yeah, it's probably my best professional results up to date to be the Croatian to win the Croatian Championship. I did win the World Junior Championship in 2017 though, in rapid. So I was the world and European champion in rapid. In junior category, of course. No, I'm not junior anymore. In senior category, this is definitely by far my best result. But I did have 2600 something live ratings, so he does if only his fans suggest him your games through comments, but why would they? Okay, you can. Yeah, I'm very old. I'm 23 years old. Seems like it was almost yesterday when I was 15 and was playing with children. But yeah, f5, bishop here. Now, obviously, I have to attack on the h file, and I went king to f7. And it was probably more logical to put the king on g7, but I was kind of concerned in the future when when his rook lands on c7 in the future that this will not be defended. So that's why I put the king on f7. But the game unfolds with knight b5, knight c6, stopping knight c7, of course, and not trading rooks. Rook c5. Now my opponent is threatening rook d5 and bishop c4, so I have to go king g7 back. Yeah, I'm 23. Ich bin 23 Jahre alt. I'm not a father. I don't have 15 kids, only those I adopted on. I mean, it's possible to check that Rosen score, I think, where it says how many people you've adopted in online chess. Yeah, when I will be a grandfather, then I will explain to my children's children, if I will have children, which is so a very good question. But that's a discussion for another time. Now he wants rook d5 and bishop c4. I have to go. Oh, sorry. Again, misclick. Sorry about that. Now I went king g7, he went knight c3, attacking my pawn again. I go knight e7. It was possible to play b6 and then after takes to go rook h8, but it was somehow sketchy to play this, even though it was probably very easily winning for me. I'm not even sure what I was so afraid of in this, because he can't really move the rook. And yeah, so somehow I didn't play it. So I played knight to e7. It seemed more logical to defend the pawn and then do the same thing just with a pawn. And it was too wrong. No, I don't have a kingdom. Do I have a kingdom to rule? I mean, I suppose I have a kingdom to rule if you look at my chess.com nickname. Just a question: which game are you most proud of from Championship? Everyone suggests Tagamata your favorite. I mean, that's a difficult question because, like, the two best games I played were against Bukal and against Rejan. Those two games were best. But the most interesting game was definitely against Marin Bostic, because it was the title decider, and both sides had chances. There were extreme tactics and so on. Angelica is 2700 ELO in trolling. That's why we enjoy when Angelica is on the stream. You know that. You do know that that the main reason for this channel has always been for people to watch this channel has been trolling and raging. Um, but yeah, my opponent trades one pair of rooks because he doesn't want me to allow want to allow me to double the rooks on the h file in the future, and he takes my pawn. I go rook h8. Of course, I want the rook to attack, not to trade it. And he plays knight c5. Of course, I go king g8, queen g8, so that I put the queen on h7 and try to go for checkmate. My opponent goes king g2. It's probably the only move he can make. And yeah, now there's some extreme engine lines which go like this, with rook h6, queen g7, and now with queen h7 or queen h8, and now the engines just claim that the position is that the position will be winning for black. And the reason why this is the case is that after knight b6, I will have this knight to h3 idea. And now whatever he does, it will not be like wherever he moves the queen, there will be knight f4 with checkmate. And this was extremely hard to spot in time trouble. I didn't see it at all. And my idea was just to go queen h7, queen h1, queen h7, queen h1, queen g8. Why? Because repetition gives me a draw, and the draw secures me the first place in the championship. So this felt quite logical. What is better, Angelica's chess or trolling? You tell me. And now when my opponent plays queen g1, we repeat it several times, and my opponent now, okay, he can go, for example, king f1, queen h1, and then knight b3. That's a possible line. After knight f3 to take, and then knight d2, queen g4, and something like that. But his queen is very passive here, and I thought that I'm the only one who can be better. And okay, he can of course take, and then after rook h1. I don't know why this is so stuck. My mouse is just somehow stuck, so we'll just do this. I will just refresh the page once and go to the same position. Sorry about that. But yeah, if he does this, what I was saying is that after knight here, he can take, go king g2, and we have a draw. And a draw is good enough for me to win the championship. And had I lost, I wasn't sure if I would be first, second, or even third. Knight d7 instead of knight d3 after queen h1. Knight d7? No. That's checkmate for some reason. Then there is rook h2. That was, but that was a good point. That was wrong because there is this. You just can't defend. You can't take. You can't move the king, and this is coming. It's paralyzed. So knight d7 is no good. Only knight b3. That's what I saw in the game. But yeah. It's sketchy. It was. Thank you very much, Bruno. Hope you're doing well, and we'll probably see you tomorrow in the Rapid and Blitz. But yeah, my opponent plays a very interesting f4 move, trying to play for a win. E3, bishop f3, and surprisingly enough, there is no checkmate and there is no win for me. And I decided to go for the practical queen h3, king e2, knight e4. Now, if he takes with any piece, I will take with the f pawn and rook f8, and the attack will be deadly. So he has to go king e1, and now I just grab the pawn. So now I equalize the material. His king is worse than mine, but he does have some counterplay. So he goes knight e6 and knight f4. Good Koshal was playing with white. Otherwise, if Angelica played, you would win, not draw this. I don't know. That's a trolling attempt, I suppose. So yeah, knight f4. And now I wasn't sure what's going on after queen h4, knight d5 check, knight d5, bishop d5, because I didn't see a good discovery. And if I go, for example, queen g4, I think my opponent can play rook c2, and somehow he's still holding all the squares for some reason. I wasn't sure what's going on. And it's probably fine for me, but then I decided to go queen h2 to simply threaten queen b2, and the only move I was calculating here was queen g2, and then I would have gone for knight e4, rook c7 would have happened, g5, and like the game goes on with this, and then yeah, this is what my opponent said after the game, with knight h5, and it's probably some kind of a repetition or something. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's not even. Maybe it's just the game goes on. That was much better, but he made a wrong. He had a wrong conception in the head. He played queen h2, rook h2, knight e2, and then when I played knight e4, he completely forgot that I actually have a threat with knight g5. So he played rook c7 and played knight g5, and yeah. Now basically he cannot defend anything, and he's totally lost. Knight g1, rook b2, bishop d1. I played knight d6, trying to break through with f4 immediately. He goes rook d7, I go f4, takes, and now rook d6 check, king f7 happens, bishop g4, and now like it's very stupid what I did, but I saw that after knight d3, king d1, I don't really have anything because here there is king c1. If I go here, then he can go king c2 takes bishop b6, and then he will take d3. So knight d3 is no good. If I go knight g2, which I did in the game, with this here, and if I go some rook g2, there is again bishop e6 and knight f3, he saved a piece. And I can't take here. I can go rook h2 though, but it's still not so clean. But I have a very easy win with rook g2, and now the problem was knight f3, rook g4, knight d5. But of course I can just include this, and wherever he goes, I just collect a clean piece, and after this there is rook g3, and the game is over. And I thought that I have another easy win with knight g2 check, king d1, rook b1, and I completely forgot that he can go king e2. That was a very stupid blunder. Rook g1, king f2, rook a1, takes, and now we'll enter this rook endgame. I could have played this for a win in several different ways, but I didn't want to. Like, draw secures me the title, and yeah, with some moves we agreed to a draw. An extremely stupid blunder here with this king e2. Had I just fought for 1 or 2 more minutes, I would have surely understand that I have an intermediate move, but I didn't. And yeah, he survives, he saves half a point. Again, he's totally lost against me. Again, I didn't win for 4th time in a row. But we got the title. He can have his little moment, but we do clinch the title. And this is how the championship ended today. And yeah, this is how our trophy looks like. It's like bird's wings. I mean, he congratulated me. He said that I completely deserved to be the champion this year. So yeah, the knight sacrifice against Postage is not being bad, but that's actually theory, and it was a line taught to me by an old friend. So I had to employ it at least once more. Um, you're sick. Sorry to hear that, Bruno. Hope you'll recover. Hope you'll recover. And yeah, for Blitz, you can't wait. It will be a very nice event, surely. Um, yeah. I mean, I won 2 games against Casual, but all those 2 I was also winning. But there were like 4 more which I was winning, and I made 1 point out of those 4. So that's quite disappointing. But anyway, I was lost against Fairchats. I was lost against Marin Bosiocic, so can't complain about anything. So yeah, I do hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Yeah, Rapid and Blade Championship is gonna be spicy. Okay, should I end? I mean, I intended to end the stream, but for you guys, I can play 1 or 2 more games. I can play 1 or 2 more games if you want. Fercic had a good tournament, but he's a strong player. Don't underestimate him, even though his rating is low. You saw me first time on the YouTube channel Chess Essentials? Yeah, Chess Essentials, Vyacheslav Nemeth, he's my all-time friend, my old friend. Like I've known him for years. He's now uh, he's now 2250 rated, I think. He's also the manager for my Pro Chess League team. Maybe 3 games. Ukraine challenges Croatia. Not viewer, but friend. I mean, viewer. He's not my viewer. He was never on stream, I think. Ah, 1 game of Scandi for you if I win. Of course, I promise that. We have to go for the Scandi then. We have to go for the Scandi. Okay. Yeah, Chess Essentials was never on the stream. He is not a viewer at all. Now somebody is going to call him on the stream, and he's going to say, "Who said that I'm not a viewer?" or something. Come on, why is there no opponents? There's supposed to be opponents. My rating is extremely low. I think he's not on Twitch anymore, but I could be wrong. No, he's not streaming anymore. He has now different things to do in life. He will play the Rapid and Blitz tomorrow, by the way. The European. I don't think I don't see that Tina challenged me, Angelica. So okay, we're playing a Dane. Oh, by the way, which Scandi? Tell me which Scandi. Queen d5 or Knight c6? You didn't specify that. Queen d5. And then Queen d6 or Queen a5? Queen a5. All right. Let's try to do the Scandi. As far as I remember, we put the pawn on c6. We put the knight here. If John Bartholomew was here, but he's not. If John was here, then I would know how the theory goes. But okay, basically, in the Scandi, you have a slightly more passive position with no weaknesses. You just need to slowly build up your pressure. So yeah, it's a slow play. It's a slow play. I'm kind of tempted to go for e5 though, but it would give this bishop more meaning than it's supposed to have. Okay, I'll go queen c7 back. Bishop f4, I'll go bishop d6, I think. And maybe I will try to expand on this side of the board soon. Yeah, she did challenge me in the chat, but not on chess.com. Okay, now that he's hinting at some bishop takes ideas, I guess I'll go knight d5, not to think too much. So knight develop. I will start to love Scandi. Well, now the position which I have is extremely similar to French exchange positions, which I usually have. Except that white has two bishops. Usually he doesn't have the advantage of two bishops. So now my plan should probably be g6, f5, knight f6, knight e4. But I should not have gone with that rook then, because now after g6 there's bishop h6. Mixed up the plans. Then I will have to go for bishop d6. I don't have anything better, I think. Does this actually work? GH queen f5. Rook e1, rook e1. It's actually mate. Wow. And then I have to go for something like this. So very, very interesting play by my opponent. He's putting quite a lot of pressure on me. Guess I don't have a better move than to repeat. I mean, bishop e7 was possible. Anyway, I have to go here now. Okay, this bishop is now passive, so what I need to do is to try to exchange all the rooks. Who do I put in their place? I'm sure you don't play like a drunk cow in bullet. Okay, I'll go f5. I'm not sure if it's the right move, but just to fix this weakness here. Maybe in the future I'll be able to go here in knight f6. Should probably do some g4 sooner or later, but g4 I'll have f4, I think. Maybe he's listening to the stream. I mean, I advise the opponents to watch my stream because very often I say they can't do something and they played that move and they blunder. So why not? Okay, now I need to focus. Okay, take. Let's go for f3. He should go here maybe. No, why did I go f3? That was such a stupid move. So I'm so used to classical chess now. Come on. Yeah, nothing I could have done there. That was a very good game by my opponent, by the way. I don't know what I've done wrong, honestly. Yeah, bishop h6 passed. That was very that was very well played. g4 best, e4 best. Rook f1. Yeah, this was extremely good. Well played. I feel like I had zero chances whatsoever. Now I'm just stuck. I can't move any of my pieces. Okay, I think my opponent showed us why Scandi is not so popular at a high level. So yeah, I think we said that when I lose, we end the stream, right? I can't prove that Scandi can do something against e4. How can I prove that? I mean, Buki, you know how he plays. He had 5 wins and 5 losses and only one prearranged draw. He's happy. He's happy. He secured his IM norm. So it doesn't matter. You did what you promised to do. Thank you. No, but it's just for fun. But my opponent played a really amazing game. Try French, but I'm trying it every time on Title Tuesday. So I don't think I don't think we'll have time to play against Tina today. But there will be a chance to do it in one of the next days, 100%. Alrighty. I think we're going to end the stream with this. So I hope that I'll do better in Rapid and Blitz tomorrow than this in this Blitz game. And yeah, there I'll definitely be playing the French and not the Scandi. Was raid Hikaru? Hikaru is not online, as far as I can see. Okay. So, yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I really hope that we'll have more streams in the future. That you learned, that you enjoyed this coverage, and wishing you all the best. Hvala gospod Medančić. Puno hvala. They always chat there even when offline. Okay, bye bye everyone. Pozdrav svima.